I was halfway through a quiet lunch when my phone buzzed with a message from Catherine Liu, the chief executive officer of Harper & Row Atelier. No greeting, no subject line, just an image loading in the center of the screen. It was a photo of me taken from behind, cropped tightly at my shoulders and hips. Under it, the caption typed by my creative director, Vincent Hale, read, "Look at our fat pig ant blocking the mirror." A small icon beneath it showed a single reaction, a like from my direct manager, Rachel Cho. For a heartbeat, I could not breathe. I blinked, convinced I had misread it, but the words stayed pinned to the screen like a bruise that would not fade. Before I could react, another message from Catherine arrived. "How do you want me to handle them?" I stared at those 11 words until my vision blurred. Catherine did not ask questions like that. She issued directives. She set standards. She did not hand her authority to anyone, especially not someone like me, a technical designer who spent most days buried in digital patterns and seam measurements. My hands were shaking when the next bubble appeared. "Olivia, I need your guidance on this." I swallowed hard. "Is this real?" I typed. My thumbs felt stiff, as if each letter carried weight. Catherine responded immediately. "Yes." It came from their private chat. "I thought you deserved to see it first." The clatter of conversations around me faded, replaced by the thin ringing in my ears. I locked my phone for a moment, then unlocked it again, hoping the screenshot might disappear. It did not. I whispered into the empty space of the break room. They really said that. My own voice startled me. I had never heard myself sound that small. A text from Catherine lit up again. "You tell me how to proceed." The decision hung between us like a door I had never dared to touch. Not until that moment did I understand that everything I chose next could change the course of my life and theirs. I picked up my box of lunch, untouched, and stood slowly. It was time to leave the break room and face whatever waited outside. I returned to my workstation and tried to focus on the half-finished pattern glowing on my monitor. The lines refused to stay straight. My hands hovered above the keyboard. Useless. The screenshot pulsed behind my eyes no matter how many times I told myself to let it go. Rachel walked past my desk once, twice, pretending not to look at me. On the third pass, she stopped. "You okay?" Her voice was tight, rehearsed. "I'm working," I said. She nodded too quickly. "Good. Just keep your head down today." I almost laughed. "Is that your professional advice?" "Rachel." Before she could answer, 2 members of Human Resources appeared at the end of the aisle. Their badges swung as they approached, expressions blank. Olivia Marin, the taller one, asked, "Yes. There has been a complaint regarding your conduct. We need to escort you out while we investigate." My mouth dried instantly. "A complaint from whom we cannot disclose that at this time," she replied, eyes sliding away. Rachel stood stiffly beside her computer, arms folded. She did not say a word. The HR rep held out a flattened cardboard box. "Please gather your personal items." I inhaled slowly, forcing my hands to move. Pattern rulers, digitizer pen, a stack of coded fabric notes only I could decipher. At the bottom of my drawer, I found the small brass measuring tape my grandmother had given me before she died. She had pressed it into my palm and whispered, "Make things that last." I placed it on top of the box. "Are you ready?" the shorter rep asked. I nodded, though nothing inside me felt steady. As we walked down the corridor toward the glass lobby, people turned away, pretending to study their screens. My reflection trailed beside me along the polished walls, soft, blurred, almost unrecognizable. The doors slid open. A burst of cold air hit my face as we stepped outside. My job had not been taken because I failed. It had been taken because someone decided the shape of my body outweighed the value of my work. I gripped the box a little tighter and kept walking. The drive home felt longer than it should. Portland drifted past my windows in a gray blur, but I barely saw any of it. My hands stayed tight on the wheel, knuckles pressed white, as the years I had climbed through this industry pulled themselves out of the dark and sat beside me. I heard my old instructor's voice from community college again, sharp and impatient. "If you want to be taken seriously, Olivia, you need to work twice as hard, maybe 3 times. I had believed him. I cut patterns in cold basement rooms until my fingertips cracked. I stitched hems at a tailor shop off Hawthorne Boulevard for wages too small to cover rent. I rode night buses across the river for CAD classes because they were the only ones I could afford. No one opened a door for me. I pushed until the frame splintered. At a stoplight, I whispered. I did everything right. My throat tightened. I worked for this. The light changed. I turned onto the street toward my apartment, remembering all the times I stood quietly while slimmer colleagues were chosen for projects I had designed from the ground up. I remembered being overlooked in meetings, my ideas repeated by others and praised as if they were new, but I had never questioned the value of my work. My patterns fit bodies that breathed, not mannequins carved from fantasy. Inside my apartment, I set the cardboard box on the table and sank onto the couch. Rain tapped rhythmically against the window, steady and indifferent. A small guilt settled in my chest. Maybe I should have confronted them sooner. Maybe I had let too much slide. My phone vibrated. A message preview lit the screen. "I'm sorry. Olivia." The chat. It's not the first time. It was from Maya, the youngest assistant in the department. Her name alone made my heart pull tight. I opened the message fully and stared at it, feeling something inside me shift. My laptop was still open on the coffee table when the first email came in. Then another. Then a full stream subject lines piling onto one another until I could barely read them fast enough. Pattern mismatch on look 12. Digital file corrupted urgent. Dress. 21. Tearing at side seam during walk test. Rachel sent one message after another. "Olivia, can you confirm the grading steps you used? Please respond. We cannot replicate your method." I typed back one sentence. "I am no longer employed there." Within minutes, a video call request from Human Resources appeared. I declined. They tried again. Then public relations. Then a number I did not recognize. My phone rang next, Catherine. I let it buzz until it stopped. When the next email arrived, it came from an investor whose name I had only ever seen in board presentations. The preview line froze me. "If this leaks, we are finished. Fix it. Fast." He had accidentally copied me. I opened it anyway. Beneath the panic-filled message were threads from designers begging for solutions, model agents warning they would pull talent from the Seattle show, and someone admitting quietly that no one understood my hybrid system of digital overlays and hand-graded adjustments. Another message from Rachel followed. "Please, Olivia, we need you. The show is tomorrow. Less than 20 hours. I stared at my phone until the next call came Catherine again. This time, she did not leave a voicemail. She sent a text. "I know what happened, and I know what Vincent wrote. But I need you. Please call me." The word please from her felt strange, unstable, like a doorway opening where there had never been one. My phone rang again, vibrating against the table. They all wanted the same thing, my return. I reached for the phone, feeling the shift in the air as everything that had been taken from me slowly tilted back my way. By the time the knock came, the sky outside my apartment had already fallen into that deep Portland blue. I opened the door expecting a neighbor. Instead, Catherine Liu stood in the hallway, wrapped in a midnight-colored gown that looked straight off a gala stage. Her hair was pinned with crystals. Her expression, nothing glittered there. "Olivia," she said softly. "May I come in?" I stepped aside. "You did not have to come here." I did. She closed the door behind her, shoulders sinking in a way I had never seen. The Seattle show is failing. Patterns are collapsing. The models will walk in less than 20 hours and nothing fits. We tried rebuilding your files. No one can—" Her voice cracked for half a breath before she steadied it. "I am so sorry for what happened to you, for what Vincent said, for what Rachel endorsed. None of it is defensible." I folded my arms. "Then why did Human Resources escort me out?" "They acted before I saw the screenshot," she replied. "Had I seen it sooner, things would have gone differently." I let the silence sit. She shifted her weight, then continued. "I want you back. Full reinstatement. Double your current salary. Public credit for the entire Seattle line." It was a generous offer. A perfect offer for someone who had not already seen exactly what they thought of me. "You cannot fix disrespect with a higher number," I said, "and you cannot repair integrity with a headline." Catherine drew a long breath, eyes lowering before she met mine again. "All right," she said. "Then tell me what you want." She repeated the same 11 words she had sent earlier that day. "How do you want me to handle them?" My answer came slowly but firmly. "I am not returning as your employee. If I come back, it will be as a consultant under my own name, my terms, my timeline." Catherine nodded once. "Then that is what we will do." The room felt different after she said it, like something tightly wound inside me had begun to loosen. I arrived at Harper & Row just after 7 in the morning. No staff uniform, no company badge. Only a white lanyard with a temporary card that read, "External Consultant," in bold block letters. The receptionist froze mid-sentence when she saw it. Word traveled faster than footsteps in that building. When I entered the atelier, conversations died in place. Vincent Hale stood near the dress forms, arms crossed, jaw tight. His eyes widened when he recognized me, as if he had seen someone rise from a grave he dug himself. Rachel looked down at her tablet the moment our eyes met. "Olivia, I didn't know you were." "You did," I said, cutting her off. "You just did not think I would come back." I set my bag on the nearest table, opened my laptop, and powered up the main patterning software. "Everyone, listen," I said, not raising my voice. "We are restarting the entire line. Follow my instructions." "Exactly." No one objected. Even Vincent took a step back. I pulled up the corrupted files and began rebuilding them layer by layer, digital overlays first, then the hand-graded corrections that only I understood. Designers hovered nearby, handing me measurements and notes without their usual commentary. I answered with short, precise directives. Recut the bodice on look 7. Tighten the underarm curve on 12. Move the seam allowance on 21 by half an inch. Hours passed before I caught something buried in the system logs. Some of my original corrections had been manually overridden, not by accident. Someone had tried to prove the collection could survive without me. I tapped the screen and turned to Vincent. "You did this." He opened his mouth, then shut it again. I kept working. Their panic filled the air, but I steadied the room, stitch by stitch, until the collapsing collection slowly began to rise again under my hands. By the time the lights dimmed in Seattle, my hands were trembling from exhaustion, but every garment held. The silhouettes moved cleanly, seams smooth under the runway glare. I stood in the wings as critics whispered to each other, scribbling notes with the same urgency they once dismissed me with. When the final model walked out, a wave of applause rolled across the room. Catherine turned toward me, smiling with the kind of relief that borders on disbelief. "You saved us," she whispered. I shook my head. "I saved the work." "That's different." Before the applause reached its peak, I slipped out through a side exit and caught an early train home. I did not want celebration. I wanted distance. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop before I even opened my eyes. Dozens of notifications swarmed the screen mentions, tags, forwarded links. I played the first clip, sent by Maya. It was the screenshot, the same one Catherine had shown me, leaked publicly. My breath caught. A second link followed. A shaky backstage video captured Vincent months earlier, laughing with two stylists. Olivia. "She's just our fat pig who grades patterns," he said, waving dismissively. The video ended with muffled disgust from whoever had filmed it. By noon, investors were demanding action. One email read aloud in a company-wide leak stated, "This behavior jeopardizes the brand. Handle it immediately." Catherine called me. Her voice was steady, but I heard the burn underneath. "The board is holding an emergency meeting. You may want to know Vincent is blaming Rachel." An hour later, a message from Rachel appeared on my phone. "He's saying it was all me. Please, Olivia, you know that isn't true." I did not respond. Another message came from a designer culture is no excuse. They're both being questioned, piece by piece. Their defenses collapsed, each excuse exposing the next. The conference room was smaller than I expected. No windows, no cameras, just a long table and the quiet hum of the air vent. Catherine stood when I entered, gesturing to the seat beside her. "Thank you for coming, Olivia," she said. "We'll begin now." Across from us sat Vincent and Rachel. Vincent straightened his collar the moment I looked at him, the same way he did when he wanted to appear charming. "Olivia," he began, smiling weakly, "I think we can agree this has gotten blown out of proportion. You know how creative environments can be. Energy gets high. People joke that was not a joke," I said. His smile twitched. "All right, fine. Maybe it was insensitive, but I've always respected your craft. You're foundational to this place." Rachel jumped in, voice trembling. "I never meant to hurt you. I hit like without thinking. I swear I supported you. Vincent he made everyone follow his tone." Vincent snapped. "You were in every conversation. Do not try to put this on me." Rachel's eyes widened with a panic I had never seen in her. "I did not start any of this." Catherine raised a hand. "Enough. Olivia is here because this decision directly concerns her." Silence swallowed the room. Catherine turned toward me. "You told me you would give me your terms. I'm asking again, how do you want me to handle them?" My voice came steady, without needing to rehearse. "Vincent is to be terminated immediately, with a ban from all Harper & Row brands for 5 years. Rachel is to be demoted and required to complete an anti-harassment training program, one that I will design myself, and I want a new internal policy. Body shaming of any form is a fireable offense." Catherine nodded once and looked to the board members. All in favor. Every hand rose. Vincent slumped back, disbelief draining the color from his face. Rachel lowered her gaze, shoulders collapsing inward. Catherine tapped her pen lightly. "It's done. Olivia, exactly as you asked." The formal announcement came 3 weeks later. Catherine called early that morning, her voice lighter than I had ever heard it. "We are launching the Marin Standard today," she said. "Your name will be on every document, every presentation, every press kit. It is already live on the website." I sat up in bed. "The Marin Standard. You designed it," she replied. "It is only right that everyone knows." By noon, my inbox overflowed. Designers from Los Angeles, New York, and even Paris wrote asking whether I could consult on their collections. A well-known model messaged me directly. "I have been waiting my whole career for someone like you," she wrote. "Please teach us how to make this industry kinder." The momentum felt unreal, but I knew exactly what to do with it. A month after the announcement, I signed a lease for a small storefront space in Portland's Alberta Arts District. When the landlord asked what I planned to build, I answered simply, "A place where skill matters more than appearance." The first person I hired was Irene, a 60-year-old seamstress who had been pushed out of her last job because her hands were too slow. Then came Marcos, a pattern maker who had been told he would never fit the brand aesthetic. Finally, a young designer named Neve arrived shy, brilliant, and dismissed by 3 studios for not being camera-friendly. We worked side by side, stitching, grading, drafting. No one raised their voice. No one mocked anyone's body. No one tried to outshine the others. Business grew because the clothes fit real people. But for me, the real victory was watching a room full of people who had been overlooked their entire lives finally breathe without fear. I locked up the studio one evening, listening to their laughter drift from the back room, and realized I had built the space I once needed for myself. The invitation arrived in a thick envelope stamped with the Harper & Row crest. Catherine's handwriting covered the card inside. "We want your capsule collection at the New York showcase. Your name, your brand, your terms." I read it twice before letting myself believe it. Then I said yes. Weeks later, I stood backstage at the venue, listening to the muffled hum of a full audience. Models moved around me in soft murmurs, each wearing the pieces my team and I had built stitch by stitch in our small Portland studio. Catherine approached, her smile steady. "You ready?" she asked. "As ready as I can be." I replied. The show began. One look after another stepped into the spotlight, and the room shifted from polite interest to something quieter, heavier, almost reverent. These were garments built for real bodies, and the audience felt it. Then came the final look. A model stepped onto the runway in a structured ivory gown. From the front, it was clean and elegant, but when she turned, the inner lining caught the light words embroidered in deep red thread, visible only in that precise movement, "Not a fat pig." A murmur rippled through the room before rising into a full standing ovation. The sound rolled through the hall like a tide, louder with each second. I watched from the wings, feeling something inside me settle into place. Backstage, Catherine met me with a folder in her hands. "This is for you," she said, offering the contract. "Long-term authority over all fit standards, your protocols, your oversight, every future line." I flipped through the pages. It was everything she promised. "Vincent is out of the industry," she added, "and Rachel is completing your training program. The new policies go public next month." Before I could respond, a young intern approached. Her hands shook slightly as she spoke. "Your work. It made me feel like I belong here." Her voice held more truth than any applause ever could. I nodded, the weight of the moment settling warm in my chest. Respect had found its way back to me, sewn into every line of the life I had rebuilt.